Tuesday. Happy Silent Tuesday. You might be wondering what a Silent Tuesday is, but it's a day that I choose not to talk. I have reinstituted my phone fast and Silent Tuesday, but I am breaking Silent Tuesday to talk to y'all today because I am really concerned about what is happening, the messaging that you all are getting. So I decided I would come on and make an attempt to provide some clarity, particularly in the world of education. As you may or may not know, I have been an educator for almost 20 years now, and I primarily work in school improvement and school climate and culture. So I experience a lot of things, hey Devani, that has to do with the way schools feel and a lot of the stuff that's happening right now, or the impending things that are happening right now. I think some of us are a little bit confused, or maybe have not been in the room to get the information. So I had someone make a comment the other day, or they sent me a DM, and they were asking me about a comment that I made on somebody else's post about the Department of Education. And I don't know if you are aware, I will just speak as if we aren't. One of the parts of the incoming president's plan is to get rid of the Department of Education and give the power of education back to the states. That is the type of language that is being used about almost every policy, is giving everything back to the states. So I want to kind of explain how the Department of Education works currently, and then what this will look like when the Department of Education goes away. So currently, the Department of Education is responsible for different initiatives. For instance, you all might be familiar with No Child Left Behind was a big one that we had back in the day, or the Individuals with Disabilities Act, which makes provisions for students who have intellectual disabilities, physical disabilities, individual education plans, 504 plans, which include things like ADHD, or sometimes even now probably things like social anxiety, depression. Those who fall on the neurodivergent spectrum oftentimes get supported by the Individuals with Disabilities Act. Okay, so the Department of Education currently, the U.S. Department of Education currently has money allocated for states that is allocated based on these initiatives. So for instance, people may have a grant funded position, and I'll kind of get into this a little bit more because this is what I did when I was working in Pennsylvania. But there are grant funded positions, for instance, like DEI, or sometimes even things like additional counseling services. So for instance, after COVID, there were federal monies that were allocated to be able to support students' social emotional needs, and to help students and teachers transition after COVID back into the classroom, understanding that this was a global situation, but everyone had been impacted. So the Department of Education said, we're going to put some money towards this initiative. So the Department of Education kind of sits as the overview for things in education. If you think stuff like Brown versus the Board of Education, like that's something that the Department of Education enforced. We're going to do this federally, and everybody's going to have to do this regardless of whether you agree with it or not, right? This is what happens. And then there are different systems in place in order to enforce that. So with the U.S. Department of Education, then you have state departments of education, which technically fall under the U.S. Department of Education currently. So they would be the ones who would be distributing those funds to the different school districts that they are responsible for. I hope y'all are following me. I know that I feel like I should almost have a PowerPoint, but I'm just trying to kind of give an overview of how things work currently, again, with a U.S. Department of Education. There is oversight. Let's just say it like that. So what is going to happen come January, whenever old boy goes into the office, 21st or 22nd, he has pledged to get rid of the U.S. Department of Education. Okay. So when the U.S. Department of Education goes away, then that means that the control will go back to the states. Now, most of my educational career, I worked in Florida. So I worked in Tampa, and the Florida Department of Education has oversight over schools. So this is how schools get considered to be failing schools. This has to do, or succeeding schools. This is, about compliance, and it's a lot. So I won't get into that. But anyway, so in Florida, the Florida Department of Education says to the schools, jump. And the schools say, how high? Okay. In Florida, if the Department of Education says that a school is failing and they're going to take over the school, there is trepidation there because there are consequences that can happen. All right. So I worked under that system in Florida, long time. Then in 2020, I went to Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania has a different setup. So Pennsylvania's setup is much like what the U.S. is going to operate as moving forward. Okay. So Pennsylvania has what they call local control. So that means that the local school board is responsible for everything. The local school board is in control. So all these other entities, when I was just explaining about the Department of Education and all of that, it's all just for play. It's really just a way to filter money and make white people have jobs, to be very frank about it. But they have no jurisdiction. So in Pennsylvania, for instance, there are over 500 independent school districts. Now, what this means is that there are 500 different standards for succeeding. There are 500 different ways to deal with curriculum. There are some schools in Pennsylvania that still have books from the 80s that are on their campus currently today. It means that every independent school district gets to decide what they want to do. This is also taking place where I'm from, which is in New Orleans. So it's an independent school district. So what happens is there is no oversight. A student can go from one district to the other district and have completely different qualifications for saying that they're graduating. They can have completely different qualifications for how many days that they have to be at school. They have completely different standards for behavior. Everything is independent to that independent school district. So I told you I used to be in Florida, and a lot of my advocacy work happens in Florida because of a situation that happened with a school board member. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go Google it. Go Google Kimberlin Jackson school board member. You'll see all the things. But there has been a movement in school boards to put people, the last that I know the organization was called was Moms for Liberty. They have been, hey Melissa, they have been infiltrating school boards in order to get people, a particular type of person on the school board. Let me speak freely. I'm trying to be politically correct. Let me stop. They have been, so Moms for Liberty is an organization that is aligned. If you have been looking at any of the things that have been happening in Florida, and I'm going to say it again, that things like this have been happening in Florida, in Arkansas, in Texas, Louisiana, and in Pennsylvania, in independent school districts. Okay. So basically, what they've been doing is they flood the school board with these Moms for Liberty people or supporting people. These are the same people that want to ban books. These are the same people that are talking about things like parental control. These are the same people that are pushing for school choice. So without a U.S. Department of Education, what that means is every independent school and school district has to have their own funding. Your boy has already said that he is not going to fund any school that does not align with what he wants. He has said that they're going to have prayer back in school. They already in Louisiana passed a bill for the 10 Commandments to be posted in schools. The students are, he said something to the effect of students are going to have to focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic and anything else that they feel is important. So let's talk about the anything else that they feel is important, because what I need us to understand is that school in the United States of America was never created to educate. School was created to indoctrinate. School was created to teach people how to read the Bible and to strip indigenous people of their customs and cultures. That is the only reason that school was established in the United States of America. Furthermore, school then became the way that they built a workforce. So school was not teaching people how to think. School is teaching people how to follow directions, how to be a good employee. That is it. That is still happening currently today. Okay. So school is a way to build good employees because the baby boomers retiring, we need a workforce. So they do it through school. School is a way to indoctrinate children. The only way that you are able to ensure that your child is, like having a great education, you would have to be in there knowing that their teachers and that individual school leader is committed to the social emotional capacity and safety of your child. Like, I'm gonna tell you from somebody who's been on the inside, the majority of the schools that are in the US do not lead with that. They are only there indoctrination for the industrial complex. That's it. Okay. So what has been said is the kids need to learn reading, writing, and arithmetic and whatever else we deem appropriate, and not learn all these woke ideologies. What are woke ideologies? Woke ideologies are things like knowing how to identify and manage your own emotions, knowing how to make responsible decisions, having a true understanding of American history and the way that the U.S. has played a role in the demise of every country that is struggling right now. That stuff is not going to happen. It's already not happening in many places. But if your child just so happens to be in the school where they actually do want them to learn and think and all of that, one or two things is going to happen. The school is not going to be funded because that's woke ideology. So the school is not going to be funded. Therefore, that school is going to close unless there is independent funding. And I want you to think about in education, like a lot of it is grant funded. Those grants come from the U.S. government. There are no more grants to fund this type of stuff. Okay. So like I need us to kind of understand. Okay. So I said one or two things will happen. One is the school is going to close. Okay. Or two, the school is going to stay open, but now I want you to think back to times, and I think the most drastic time, I believe, in our lifetime that we feel like maybe that we, and this is a real collective we, that we can pinpoint or tap to would be like the civil rights movement, right? But no. I want you to think further back than that, further back. I want you to think back like slavery. And this is not me being, conflating things and being dramatic. This is me honoring what these people have already said is going to happen. Furthermore, this is a side note, but also very much. That man has already said there's not going to be another election. I need us to accept that. There's not going to be another election in 4 years to fix things. He has already said he's going to be a dictator from day one. We have never lived under a dictatorship. At least I have not. And the majority of the people that have grown up in the United States, we ain't lived under no dictatorship. Now, if you immigrated to the U.S. because you were in a different country, you may have that lived experience. But us in the United States, we ain't never had no dictator. There's always been some type of recourse. Oh, we can sue. There's a law. There's a something. This is not going to be happening come January. So let me get off of that sidetrack and come back to education. So the schools are going to be operating independently with independent funding. Do we remember like Brown versus the Board of Education when it was separate but equal, but it wasn't equal? Now it's less equal. Now it's like non-existent. So your best bet would be for your child to be in homeschool. Because otherwise, they're going to be indoctrinated when they go down to them people's schoolhouse. And if there are teachers like myself, that's like, F what them people say, and I'm going to teach y'all how to do this, dangerous. Hello. But guess what? The police have immunity. So they can do whatever they want to those schools. What happens if the school gets burned down? Nothing. That's what happens. Nothing. So I need us to process that. Okay. And I need us to accept that. Because we should be planning right now. And what I keep hearing is people saying business as usual. I'ma just mind my black ass business and I'm just not gonna worry about it. These bills still due. Yes. And also, I need you to be planning for what is about to happen. Because this is not a game. This is not a drill. This is not something that's happening in theory. Every single day, they keep making announcements. So-and-so is a part of the transition team. They just announced that, what's that man name? He was the governor. Was it Huckabee? I don't know. One of them white men. Now he's the ambassador to Israel. He just doubled down the other day and said, I just want to remind y'all that we not doing no U.S. Department of Education. That was just double down. Come on, Melissa. We went through the practice run in 2020. It is time to execute the plan. It's not time to panic. That's the other thing I've been hearing, because I've been in the comments. Let me tell y'all how I've been out here working. Okay. Because if y'all been following me for a while, and I invite you, if you haven't, please go Google me. And I'm not even trying to be funny when I say that. I want you to go Google me, and I want you to go to my YouTube page, Minding My Black Ass Business, because I've been talking about this since 2020 and probably before. Okay. But definitely once I got to Pennsylvania. There is a reason why God said to me, I'm going to need you to leave Florida. I made a video in July of 2020. And I was talking about, I was like, I feel like Harriet Tubman. And I was like, and I know that sounds so crazy, but I just feel like God is like, I have to go. The video is called Let's Talk About Faith. And I just was like, I gotta go. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what's happening, but I know I got to get the hell out of Florida. Because you know what was happening in Florida? All this stuff that I'm talking about. And I was like, guess who's not doing this? Me. No, I'm getting out. So I left. Then I went to Pennsylvania. Well, crazy. But the reason I had to go through Pennsylvania was because Pennsylvania is the reason I left the US. So what I have been doing is helping people execute the plan to get out. Because there are many of you that have passports and you can get out. Because this is my thing. I was watching a podcast earlier today, and they were talking about how Black women in particular are like, y'all need to figure this out on your own. And yes, amen. I agree. This is not our fight. This is not for us to be on the front lines dying to save a country that is actively trying to kill us. This is not our job. It's not. And I understand that our ancestors built it and all of that. And guess what that means? We can build it again for ourselves and protect it. Stop inviting motherfuckers to the damn cookout. Okay? I just want to say that. All right? It is time for us to put all of that into action for ourselves and build safe communities. This is not time for us to be living and dying for America. America don't give a flying about us at all, and are actively going to be trying to kill us. And I know that this might sound radical and all that, and that's fine, and it's okay. But guess what? It's time to plan and execute the plan. Now, I understand if you don't have your passport, right? You like, I don't have my passport, sis, it ain't that easy. Fine, then you need to be planning for shit to hit the fan because it's finna hit in January on day one. It's not going to take a long time for us to see the impacts, because that's the other messaging that's happening is people are like, oh, the federal government don't really control nothing anyway. So, it's really the local elections. Yes, it is the local elections. And also, you ain't never lived under no goddamn dictatorship. You don't know what the hell they finna control. Why are you trying to see? Why are you trying to wait and see? Huh? So, if you're in a position where you are like, I'm not able to leave, I have a little bit more preparation that I need to do, then you need to be preparing to hunker the hell down. You need to be finding community now that's going to be safe community. You need to be trying to figure out how you're going to insulate yourself, how you're going to educate your children, how you are going to make a living outside of the job that you might be on that's going to turn into a damn plantation. We cannot afford to have ostrich syndrome and just stick our head in the sand and pretend like this is not happening. We can't. So what I have been doing is I've been hosting sessions to help people get out. I had 19 people the other day. I got another 15 that's coming at the next one, because this is not a game. And if you can get out the way, get out the way. What you looking for? What you need to be there to see it for? To do what? What you finna do? And that's like, for real, what you finna do? It's like we never watched the specials on the Holocaust. Like, this is happening. And I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated and I'm concerned because I feel like it's not sinking in. And I am not actively using my energy to convince people, but I do want to be very clear. And this is just me talking about education. Okay? I'm not even talking about what's happening over in medicine or what's happening in housing. That, like, there's a plan. Project 2025 is real and it's ready for day one. And yes, it seems outlandish because we have all this false hope in democracy. I don't know why. We've seen it fail time and time and time again. I don't know why. But we have been conditioned to believe that democracy will prevail, even though these people telling us what's going to happen. They telling us straight up and down. Ain't nobody got to even hide nothing no more. Like, they real life saying the things. This is what it's finna be, and this is what it ain't finna be. And what we not finna have is what you think is happening right now. It's Chantal, it's blowing me. It is blowing me. Like, and that's why I started this off saying today is Quiet Tuesday for me, because on Tuesdays, I don't talk on the phone. I don't talk, like, I just try to be quiet, but I couldn't even hold it no more because I was watching my favorite podcast earlier and I'm like, hey, y'all, in these comments, hey, this is not a game. Like, what is we doing? And if you gonna stay, okay, are you preparing? Or are you just sitting there like, it's people? So I'm gonna answer your question about how you can register. Just send me a DM and I'll send you the link. I don't want to put it out publicly because the block is out. But it's people talking about Yeah, well, next year, child, you want to go to homecoming next year? Girl, we need to go to homecoming next year and say, ain't no goddamn homecoming happening next year. What is y'all talking about? What are you talking about? That, like, we have to understand life as we know it is changing in January. What are you doing to be prepared for that? I'm talking, we need to be thinking about how can I make money online? I mean, like, what happens if them people come into your job and they just like, you know what? You could go. Or they drastically cut your wages. There are places where the minimum wage is $15 an hour. You think that's going to still happen? You think that's still, they're relying on us to stay numb and asleep. Yes. And that is what is happening. And that is what made me say, I am going to break my quiet Tuesday to get on here and talk to whoever will listen, because I cannot just sit by and watch people pretend like nothing is happening. I can't. And I understand that I'm sitting in a seat of privilege of being outside the US. I get that, and I understand that that also gives me access to a different understanding, because we in the US have been raised to believe that the world revolves around the US, and that is not the truth. The world is out here talking. I was talking to my psychologist the other day. She's in Mexico. And she was like, girl, it's wild. Like, people are really like trying to figure out what to do. Like, this is so crazy. And it's just like, it's the world is reacting to what is happening. Now, I understand the stock market is up. Okay, that's great. I hope you got some stocks and I hope you're benefiting from it, and use that to get your ass from out of there. Okay, how about that? The very ones who allowed and wanted him will feel the pain of their decision, and let them feel it. Why we gotta feel it? Ain't we felt enough? I feel like as Black people, we should be so tired, and we should really be like, you know what? Y'all got it. Y'all got it. Y'all, I'm not saying this to flex, but I want you to understand. So I live in Colombia, and my daily life is so peaceful. When I tell you, I don't think about, if I see police, I don't have to get nervous. I don't think about if I'm gonna be gunned down in the mall, just minding my business. I'm not those worries. My cousin just moved here recently, and Medellin loves fireworks. They do fireworks all the time. It's the highlight of my life here. And the first time that she heard the fireworks, she kind of jumped, and I said, it's never a gun. Ever. It's not ever a gun. We are the laughing stock of the world. And I need us to get to safety if we are able. Okay? If you are not able, you need to be finding and building community. And I'm talking ASAP. But also, some people might have to stay. I was talking, who was I talking to the other day? I said, oh, the people. I said, something my mama used to always say is a hard head make a soft ass. Some people are in that group where a hard head make a soft ass. And we gonna have to leave their behinds right there. Because you don't have to sacrifice yourself because somebody else feels like they want to sit there and see. Let them see. And hopefully when they see, they can still leave. Because I don't believe that come January, it's going to be as easy as let me just hop on a plane and roll out. I do not think that is going to be the case. I could be very, very wrong, but I'm preparing for the worst. I don't think that's going to be the case. So we got to be moving now. Whether you are moving away or whether you are moving to insulate yourself, but there has to be action. There has to be. So that's all. That's it. That's all. That's what I wanted to say. If y'all want to get information about how to leave, you can send me a DM and I'll send you the link. We're going to try to do as many of these as we can. Now is not the time to panic. Now is the time to plan and execute the plan. And it can be done. It is very possible. Sell that house. This is the thing. Like, I was talking to somebody yesterday and she lives in the Tampa Bay area. I said, girl, them white people trying to buy up all that. Sell that damn house and that's your money to start your new life. Bye. Bye. Why are you staying here? I don't understand. That is what in 2020, when I came here, 2021, when I came here to Medellin, I met 3 Black women that were living here. And I was like, how? Like, how were you able to do that? And they were like, girl, you got a passport? Pack your shit and leave. Why are you there? And I could not answer. So if this resonates with you, please send me a DM. If you need to share this with somebody else, please do. Because we got to wake up. I feel like the scene in School Days, I went to Fisk and freshman year, everybody had to do a paper on School Days. And at the end of the movie, Lawrence Fishburne is standing in the middle of the yard screaming, wake up. That's what I feel like. I feel like I am just standing in the middle of the yard screaming, wake up, y'all. So I hope you hear me. I appreciate y'all. Please again share. I need to go decompress. I done got my nerves worked up a little bit, so I'm sitting here shaking. So I'm about to go paint for a little while and calm my nerves. But I hope that you all hear me, and I hope that you all understand this is coming from a place of loving us and wanting the best for us. It's over for us sacrificing ourselves for somebody else's benefit. Let's stop that. All right. All right, y'all. I'll be back, I don't know, sometime soon. But until then, I'll be underground. So send me a DM if you want that info. All right. Bye.